Hey everybody, it's Klint with the World's Okayest Mountain Bike Podcast here. Before we get started on our first episode, I just want to say I know the audio is not the best, but as you can hear, I've actually found a way after the fact to make myself sound a little better and plan on doing a little bit better audio and everything in the future. Anyway, I still think you'll enjoy it. Check back each week for new content, new topics, and generally probably a better podcast than what we're doing. And with that being said, here's the first episode. Welcome to the first ever World's Okayest Mountain Bike Podcast. And for our brand new listeners out there, if you only knew what it took just to get us connected, you'd understand that this is just going to be an okay podcast. This is not going to be the world's best mountain bike podcast, but that's not what we're going for. So
hashtag middle-aged men.
Exactly. My name's Clinton Sylvie. I'll be the host of this podcast. We're just three 30-something guys. Some of us are closer to 40 than others. Won't say who quite yet. But we're just three dads. We're some Missouri Midwest mountain bikers. We love mountain biking. We've all got kids. And we have been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. But it only took us 30 minutes to figure out Zoom to get this started. That's what we're recording on. Anyway, I'm going to introduce my guests here. We're no-name guys. We don't expect you to know who we are. If you do, that's great. But we think you'll enjoy this content because we're going to talk about things that we love, and we're mountain bikers, so we're just going to run on the assumption that everybody else will love it too. So I'll start with our elder statesman of the group. His name's Ryan Brown. Ryan, why don't you jump in and tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, my name's Ryan Brown. Live right here in Wentzville, Missouri. Been mountain biking 8 years now. Got into it post motocross career. Just got tired of getting beat up on the dirt bike. My body was hurting. Couldn't afford any major injuries anymore, so I took up mountain biking.
Yeah, and how'd that work out for you?
You know, I was able to avoid injury for 6 of the 8 years of my mountain biking, and it went south pretty quick after that. So, but I will say I started with cross country, then I ventured into enduro, and let's just say I can't keep off the gas and make wise decisions in enduro. So I'm not racing that anymore either, but just out riding and having fun.
So I'm not going to let this go that easy. Why don't you tell our listeners exactly how many enduros you've entered and how many you've finished and how many broken bones you have?
Exclusively from enduro racing.
Yeah, broken bones from enduro racing. 2. Yeah, 2. Why'd you look like that, Kyle?
I thought a bunch of your leg came apart besides the hip when you did the last one.
No. So a year ago, May, I broke my pelvis. Nothing else. And then the September prior to that, I broke my scapula or shoulder blade. I've raced 3 enduros and I've finished 1.
Wait a second.
So yeah.
Which one? What am I missing?
Northwoods. I finished Northwoods. I didn't finish good because I was terribly out of shape, but I did go to Northwoods.
Oh, okay. So the first Eureka Springs Enduro we did was in September of 2018. Was that September?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're all buddies, and I took Ryan Brown and I went to, I guess it was Ryan's second ever Enduro. No, it was your first.
No, that was my first. Yeah.
First ever Enduro in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And on day 2, stage 1?
It was the second stage.
Stage 2 on day 1. Broke his scapula.
No. Stage 2 on day 2.
Stage 2 on day 2. You're right. Stage 2 on day 2. That's what I meant to say. Yeah,
because after stage 1, I was almost ready to take the lead from you.
What you all need to understand about my buddy here is when the race timer goes off, the brain seems to go off as well. We'll just call Ryan, send it. Ryan, your 2 enduro broken bones, they contributed to a long history of motocross broken bones. What's our grand total up to now?
36.
36. Okay, 36
36.
broken bones.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm sure this will come back up in the future many times.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if Evil was alive, he would want to have a party with himself, Travis Pastrana, and me, and we just talk about broken bones for days.
And Matt Hoffman.
And Matt Hoffman, yes.
All right, well, the guy who keeps jumping in, his name's Kyle Krangle. He has more bikes and hobbies than anyone I know, though he doesn't seem to do any single one of those hobbies extremely often. He just has the most hobbies ever. So, Kyle, run us through the Kyle Krangle's deal real quick.
All right, so my name's Kyle. I live just west of St. Louis, Missouri, pretty close to Ryan, actually. Married. I've been married for almost 8 years now. I've got a kiddo with one on the way, and we're all into biking. So my biking history started when I was a kid. Rode BMX as a kid. Sold the bike to get into racing cars, and then I didn't ride at all from age like 15 to like 24, I think. And then I picked back up riding bikes in college. A friend of mine exposed me to a dual slalom track at our college where I met Klint later. But I picked up a BMX bike and started riding with a buddy and just had no idea that like you could ride bikes as an adult still. So then after getting a BMX bike, I eventually found my way to mountain biking through a series of really neat mountain bike videos from Anthill Films, which was originally called The Collective. And so I got into it through Rome and Seasons and The Collective. I had a buddy of mine show me, and I had no idea that mountain biking could be so cool. So I literally went out and bought stole a mountain bike the day after I saw Rome, and started mountain biking from there. Just kind of did cross country, normal riding stuff, and then got back into dual slalom again when I was in college. Used my student loans to buy my first dirt jumper dual slalom bike. And then I don't think I pedaled a bike with a seat up for the following 6 years or 8 years after that almost. I exclusively rode downhill and dirt jumps, traveled quite a bit. So I've ridden, I bought a session, took my session out to North Star, California, rode the bike park out there at North Star at Tahoe. And then we did a day in Colorado. I raced downhill in Arkansas, and then we did a 10-day trip to Whistler and did 3 days on Vancouver's North Shore after that, riding skinnies and all the classic trails. So from there, I came back home, sold my downhill bike, and then pretty much just rode BMX and dirt jumps for a couple of years after that, and then eventually got a real mountain bike in I think it was 2014 or 2015 was my first time owning a proper full suspension mountain bike that you could actually ride in the Midwest.
All right. Well, so Kyle actually was kind of crucial for me getting my first mountain bike ever. I live in Missouri, but when I first started riding mountain bikes, I lived in Houston, Texas, and I moved there right after I broke my femur riding motocross. Like Ryan, I grew up racing motocross, although I've only had one broken bone compared to his 36.
Which is wild in itself. The amount of successful time you spent on a dirt bike is insane.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I just got lucky. Just a couple days ago, a kid was riding at our private track in Missouri, and he crashed. And it wasn't a bad crash, but his bike was laying on the landing of a double, and I didn't know it until it was too late. And I landed, hit his bike, flipped over, slammed my head into the ground, broke the left side engine cover on my bike, bent the handlebars, did all kinds of damage, but I'm fine. I hopped up and really haven't had any issues with it.
Proper gear, man.
But after I broke my femur and then moved to Houston, it was like, what am I going to do? And I was looking, and not too far from where I live, where was a trail system called the Anthills, and they had dirt jumps there. And so I convinced my wife that I needed a bicycle to rehab my leg. And so I didn't really even know Kyle at the time, but I knew he knew about mountain bikes just from a brief interaction at Mizzou. Found him on Facebook, had him take a look at all the ads on Pink Bike that I was looking through for a dirt jumper, and let him pick my bike to make sure I got a good deal. I ended up getting a Intense Taser hardtail. I know the Taser now is their e-bike, but it was their They're like, it was really a 4-cross bike is what it was designed for. So I got that, went to a dealer, found a tall seat post just in their old parts bin. They just gave it to me. And so that was my single speed, hardtail 26-inch trail bike. And then when my legs started feeling better, it became my dirt jump bike. Then after that, I ended up falling in love with it, got a real trail bike, Trek Remedy, found out about this thing called enduro, which apparently was you only race downhill. Well, what I didn't know was in Texas Hill Country and the Midwest, there's a lot more pedaling involved, not just getting up the hill, but during the stages, it's sprinting like you're racing BMX, just longer. And got into enduro, fell in love with it, but then ended up moving back home to Missouri, and that's where's bringing us to kind of our main topic tonight. What I really want to hit on is right now there's some really exciting stuff cooking in eastern Missouri, several projects, not just one, that I think is going to make, put Missouri on the mountain biking map. Some of these things I think are going to have a national draw. Some of them are just really sweet for the locals. So let's talk about that real quick. Well, not real quick. I mean, I guess quick enough. So
quick, where are we going to start? This is going for hours.
There's just so much stuff going on.
This is good.
So we'll start with St. Louis side because I think, you guys know a little more about what's going on up there than I do. But one major project, and I guess technically this isn't mountain biking, but we're all going to ride it on dirt jump bikes, is in St. Charles, which is a suburb on the western side of St. Louis, the biggest pump track in North America. I think it's going to be 500 square feet bigger than the pump track down in Springdale, is due to be built this summer. Would have been finished before winter, I think, but the weather.
It's like 10,000 square feet bigger than the one in Springdale. This is 30,000 square feet.
Oh wow,
it's huge. It's the second biggest in the world and the biggest in North America. So
how did that get started? I mean, Kyle, I know you know a bit about that, and we're involved in some of those talks, I believe.
So that project, there's a lot of roots to that project. We started working with St. Charles back in 2011 on getting them to put some funding into a dedicated bike project. It fizzled a couple of times between 2011 and now. But finally, St. Charles County started working with some guys at Gore just to kind of figure out what they wanted to do with a little bit of extra property they have at a really neat park out in St. Charles County and Darien Prairie, actually. It's kind of like an adventure sports park, action sports park. There's a rock climbing wall in there. There's video games up there. It's Missouri's largest concrete skate park on property. There's an indoor and outdoor rock climbing area. They got ping pong. It's called the Youth Activity Park. It's a really neat place. But they kind of wanted to start expanding that to be like the action sports mecca for the area. They're doing a really good job. So they were going to put a dirt pump track in. They'd worked with a couple of local guys about doing that. And then eventually the conversation got to, all right, if we're going to do this, what's this really worth doing? And then I got involved in the conversation, introduced them to a couple of professional builders that I knew and had contacts with through working with different projects in St. Charles throughout the years. And so they finally got in touch with Velo Solutions and realized that if they want a pump track, the right way to do it is to have Velo Solutions come out and build and design a professional built pump track. So we're going to end up that pump track will actually end up being a stop on the Red Bull Championship Pump Track Championship Series in 2021. We're going to miss the cutoff just barely for the season in 2020. But it'll probably be the opening stop for the 2021 Pump Track Race Series from Red Bull.
You guys Kyle, sign up for that?
Kyle, I was sorry to jump in, but Kyle, I happened to stop by the other day, and it looked like they were starting to get back to work on that. Is that
Brandon just got back in town early last week, I think, and so they started working as of last week.
Yeah, I stopped by on Monday, and they were working. So
awesome. Yeah, we're thinking that project, and then also the other project that I'm sure one of you guys or myself can talk about in Eureka are both going to finish sometime in mid-May. Hopefully by then the world stops being on fire and we can actually go out and be friends again and ride bikes together, but we'll see.
Kyle, are you going to have to build another entirely new bike just for the pump track, or
no?
You got something that'll work?
I'll probably be honest. I'll probably end up riding my Captain America bike out there just because it's the greatest bike ever built.
Yes.
But when I go to race out there, I've got a 21-pound dirt jump bike that I'll be probably running. It's a hardtail.
I mentioned this, listeners, because this guy has like, I don't know, I've lost count. Like 14, 13, 14, 15 bikes.
14.
I have one, but I am getting a dirt jumper built by this guy. He's got the parts list and everything.
Just for anybody listening, that's literally my most favorite thing to do is help friends get set up with dirt jump bikes. Like I've probably built like 12 dirt jump bikes for friends now, and helped like another half dozen friends buy dirt jump bikes. That's like literally one of my most favorite things to do is help a friend plan a build for their dirt jump bike.
Well, Kyle, I must say, being the spreadsheet I sent regarding dirt bikes, you are my inspiration for bike comparison spreadsheets.
Good. That's fun.
Hey, speaking of this, you know, if you're listening and you are legit interested in this, we have an email just for this podcast, and it's okayestmtb@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure it's brand new, and I almost forgot what it was. I've got to verify that as we go along here. But you can shoot an email to Okayest, that's OKAYEST, MTB@gmail.com. And if you've got bike questions or you want Kyle to build you a bike, Kyle and Ryan are both affiliated with a shop up in St. Louis called Momentum Cycles. I am too. I'm on their enduro team, and it's a great shop, and I'm be more than happy to help you guys sort out a bike for any kind of riding. That's for sure. As soon as I can remember what the Okayest MTB email password is and make sure that that's actually what it is.
Send us
I know
questions.
that's in our Facebook Messenger somewhere, boys. If I scroll far enough, I'll find it. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be a true Velo Solutions pump track. They're the ones. I mean, they're the premier pump track company. It's what's his name that does the announcing for downhill? Claudio. What's his last name?
Oh man, I can't remember right now.
Calori. Claudio Calori. He's French.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
I don't know, but I love a lot of different sports, but there is not better announcing than that dude announcing downhill.
Yeah.
In any sport. And I've asked people who don't have a clue about bicycle racing, I'm like, tell me this is not the greatest announcing ever, and they always agree with me.
I don't know. I can just hear his voice in my head from that Danny Hart Worlds run in the mud. Stay on your bike, Danny! Okay, well, that's my impression. We're done with that for now. Some other sweet stuff going on up in St. Louis. I know they're working on some downhill-only directional trails at a place called Matson Park. Just a few weeks ago, we had our first ever St. Louis enduro race, and it was the coldest, slickest, muddiest race I've ever been in, but it was insanely fun, even though we were like shivering and miserable because it was like mid-30s and raining during the race.
I didn't even come out and watch. I was like, I'm not even going and watching.
That was kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie, Ryan. I was a little hurt.
Well, you'll get over it. Are you over it?
I'm over it. I'll get
right,
over it.
All right. I'll come out when it's 110.
Are you gonna end up racing again? I mean, I know you've sworn off enduro because you've got a family, and well, we all have kids, and
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I would love to race again. But the hardest part is, going to Arkansas, and I don't ride down there enough, and getting literally 6 hours to try and learn the trail the day before and then go race it. And I don't have a brain when the timer starts. I'll admit that. So I really need to have good trail knowledge. So maybe if some of this stuff gets going in St. Louis and we get some more enduros and I get time to ride those trails and get to know them, then, I already know most of them anyway. So yeah, it's not that it's not going to happen, but I got kids. I didn't mention that before, but I got 3 kids and married and got responsibilities too. So being laid up in a hospital bed and on the couch for 8 weeks is not fun for myself and definitely not fun for the family. So we'll see. Probably some cross country eventually though, but life gets in the way of that too, and that takes a big commitment of time. So,
well, fortunately, we are the kind of trails and the interest in more like downhill style, enduro style riding is growing leaps and bounds in St. Louis. I mean, we kind of stand on the shoulder of giants. The Gateway Off-Road Cyclist guys have built hundreds of miles of trails over the last 30 years. And
Doing a great
big
job.
project that they're involved in that I've been in the middle of it with the offshoot of Gateway Off-Road Cyclists called Gork Gravity. I think we're going to fix that problem of having to drive 5 hours to do some bike park style riding, because a major project that's about to get underway, very likely to start in June, is we're going to build ourselves a legit downhill park in eastern Missouri, just south of St. Louis, about 80 miles. For Missouri people, if you know where Elephant Rocks is, you know where Johnson Shut-ins is, this bike park's going to be about 5-minute drive from Elephant Rocks in a town called Ironton.
When is that scheduled to get shovels in the dirt?
Okay, so right now, let me just give a little background in case people don't know. About a year ago, I live in a town about 30 minutes north of the biggest mountains Missouri has to offer, as far as from the base of the mountain to the top. And this town, I was actually going down there for work. I worked for a bank, and I was going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and was driving into town, and having gotten into mountain biking, I was seeing these mountains in a whole new way, thinking how amazing it would be, because we love Arkansas. We love going there, but it's a pain to have to drive 5 hours one way.
Well, not only that, but racing, like Ryan said, man, I just don't have the mental capacity anymore to turn on the self-preservation switch once the clock starts running. I end up going way faster on trails I'm unfamiliar with, and I can't handle it. So I'm excited to have something I can race on that I might be able to ride more than just the day before at best.
Right. So where we're trying to build down there, in order to make our own slice of heaven, 600 feet of vert, which for comparison to other places in the Midwest, I know Lake Leatherwood in Eureka Springs has about 350 max. Passion Play is about 300. This is 600 feet of vert. It's all granite rock, sheds water. You can ride it in the rain. You can ride it in the snow. Won't matter. And the city of Ironton down there, a group that controls some grant money for that county, has finally agreed to fund the building of a downhill bike park, complete with a couple shuttles for the weekends. And we've got the Gork Gravity people are volunteering to build the climbing trail, but we're probably going to end up with, like, in phase one, we're probably going to end up with 5 downhill only trails built by, it's looking like they're pretty close to getting a deal done with Jagged Axe Trails. Alex Scott, who's the guy who built the Passion Play trails and some other stuff down in Northwest Arkansas, that's really good. And so we think this is going to be like a huge draw, especially for people from the North, Chicagoland area, Wisconsin, basically anywhere, west and north of mid-Missouri. It's going to be closer to drive to Ironton than it is to go all the way to Bentonville. And it's not that we're trying to compete. It's just, we're trying to give another option and trying to make some legit, rugged, downhill, we'll have a green flow trail. We'll have a blue flow trail with some jumps and stuff like that. But we really want to use, like, the actual mountain itself, the granite, the rock rolls, all that kind of stuff. And, I don't know. I probably can't say too much, but let's just say it would not surprise me one bit if in 2021 or 2022 we were a round of a very premier enduro series that's national, assuming we get this bike park done. And everything's pointing that it's going to happen. It'd take some sort of major disaster to get the funding pulled, but it seems like the contracts are about to get signed. So yeah, Missouri's on the come up, man.
Oh, there's so
You,
much more
you know, if you
projects
think
that
about
we're
it,
working on. Like it's an insane amount of projects in Missouri. So I mean, there's 3 or 4 projects in the greater St. Louis area, one in Wildwood, the one in Eureka, one in Pacific, Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri, which is on the western side of the state's looking at spending $1 million on a bike park within the next year. And then the big Matson project, too, is going to go out to bid again here in the next month or so. And that has a required completion date of October 2020. And that'll be that'll be a lot of, a huge run of trail, maybe a mile or more, 2 miles or more of technical single track flow trail, stuff like that.
Jeez. So yeah, if you've never thought about Missouri as being a mountain biking destination, give us about 3 months.
Yeah.
And
to be on the map.
Where it's going to be on the map, and bring your hardtail for the Pumptrack, and then the next day drive south about an hour and a half, and you'll be at well, as far as I know of, there might be something in the summer that's way north in Wisconsin or Michigan that has more elevation, but it's literally the most elevation that we could possibly build on in the entire state of Missouri. And it's basically mid Arkansas has some higher, some bigger elevation stuff, 1,000, and then Mount Magazine, I know they're going to be building on, I think they've got 2,000 foot of drop. But other than that, you've got to go to the Rockies or the Appalachians to find anything like this. And so, you can hit the biggest Pumptrack on day one, and then you can come hit, one of the most legit downhill style bike parks in the Midwest on day 2. All right, so real quick, we're running out of time. I know you boys have family stuff, but we've got to talk about something super important. It's my favorite subject possibly in all of mountain biking, and that is tires. And we need some listener help. We're going to talk about tires real quick. I need help because I'm a tire fanatic and I love trying new stuff. But right now, I cannot decide what my next tire combo needs to be.
Hold on, let's start here. Ryan, how do you pick your tires for mountain biking?
They come on the bike.
Okay. Here's how I pick my tires. I wait and I see what Bontrager makes, and then what my favorite pro rider rides for Bontrager, and then I ride those. So now that that's out of the way, Clinton, how do you pick your tires?
I meticulously research every tread pattern, every compound, and weigh the options. I know some things I don't like, which helps. Well, it helps.
Some things.
Have you started the spreadsheet?
I started a document because
He did a Word document, and I started reading it. And I was like, "Oh my head hurt."
Well, look, I'll just throw this out right now. I don't like DHF style tires and their clones. I don't like the two knobs in the center and then the edge knobs, and that's it. Except for Tioga makes that Edge 22 that looks pretty sweet because it moves that center row way over, and I really want to try that, but I don't know if we can get our hands on those.
I've never looked at a tire that hard to tell you. Like it's got 2 or 1 or 14 knobs down the middle. Never.
I don't like those because there's a big gap between the edge knobs and the next row knobs over, and so like there's this dead zone when you're turning where like you just slide until you get it all the way over. I don't like that.
I look at does it look fast and does it look strong? And then I look at how much it weighs, and that's pretty much it. And if I need a fast tire, I buy a fast tire. If I need a tough tire, I buy a tough tire. And then I look at how much it weighs, and then I buy whatever tire is the smallest number.
I buy what's in the discount bin.
You guys don't know what you're missing out on. I feel sad for you.
I hope someday you can get me to be fast enough to the point where I care about tires as much as you.
You guys are breaking my heart. I'm just saying, I like, from the moto background, I like having predictable traction at any angle. Like I don't like having to crank it all the way over before it starts to bite. So anyway, listeners, all 5 of you, we hope to get
It'd be our wives.
This is what we want you to do. We want you to go on Facebook. I want you to find our Facebook page. So it'll be, you just look up World's like WORLD apostrophe est OKAYEST MTB, and that's our Facebook page. I want you to, give us a like. I'll put a post up, and I'll put a poll up. It says what tire combo should Klint get, and these are the three options. This is what I'm looking at right now, boys. Really hard. Okay. Option 1, Maxxis Assegai front, dissector rear. Both of the front being in double down casing with the max grip compound, rear in downhill casing with max grip compound. So this is full end, full downhill. Probably will be really good for the bike park we're building. It's going to be close to where I live. It's only going to be 30 minutes from me. That's option 1. Option 2 is the same tires, but instead of in the downhill and the double down, both of them in Exo Plus with the Max Terra compound, which should be lighter and roll faster, but at my 180 to 180, 2 or 3 pounds before gear fluctuating porker body mass.
That's ambitious.
Is it pre or post Little Debbie?
Yeah. How does the hostess weigh into that?
I've been holding pretty steady, okay? I mean, I'm not on my diet anymore, but I'm also not going berserk and like gaining weight. I'm holding pretty steady right around between 180 and 182 pretty much every morning, okay? So that's a lot better than 195. I'm just a little worried about those Exo Plus tires holding up when I decide to turn it on. Now, here's option 3. It's similar to what I have now. Right now, I'm running a WTB Trail Boss fast, tough in the rear, and a Vigilante high grip light in the front. Here's what I'm thinking. Trail Boss, just a little bit too much. It's not aggressive enough. So the braking's not the strongest. So I'm thinking I'd go Vigilante, fast rolling, tough in the rear, with a Vigilante with high grip and tough in the front. So those are the 3 options. So basically, the Assegai dissector option, and then either the downhill casings or the lighter Exo Plus casings, or the Vigilante option. I think I've got to stay there.
Hey, all right, Clinton. So here's your homework then for next week, since we're doing this for the next 96 podcasts that we record. Why don't you just do a tire of the podcast, and you can just tell
the podcast
whatever tire is on your mind the most, and give us the 3-minute tire check with Clinton.
That is a great idea. That's like
the 3-minute tire check. That's a segment.
Tire check.
We got a segment.
Are you sure we can't just make this
about tires? Absolutely not.
No.
You get 3 minutes to talk nerdy about tires every podcast.
That hurts.
I will turn in my resignation.
But all you got to do, just one tire a week, every week, or however often we decide to record, new tire. And it's Clinton tire talk with Clinton for 3 minutes, and you get to talk about one tire, and you can talk about the benefits. You can compare it, and the next week we'll do another one.
That hurts a little bit, boys.
But see, listeners can weigh in if they've ridden it. They could then go to our Facebook and say, hey, Clinton talked about that in this 3-minute segment, and I've ridden it and I loved it, and here's what it did for me. What do you think?
Okay, I can dig it. I'll give in. Well, here's the homework for you for next week.
All right.
I already know what we're going to talk about next week, because I think we're going to get 3 very different levels and approaches to this. One of us might have an approach that there is no approach to this, but we're all dads. I'm the youngest. I'm about to turn 32, but we're in the 30s, all of us. Now, I love to race. I wouldn't say any of us right now are serious racers, But I know, Ryan, that you've got Zwift. You've been on the, the station.
Oh, I'm competitive, man. I'm competitive. I got to be calculated with my competitive so I don't kill myself.
Exactly. So here's what we're going to talk about is dad bike / dad bod fitness. Like what we do, if anything, Kyle, to maintain sort of just at least a decent level of athleticism.
Hey, I wouldn't cough, though. That dude could out-climb any of us on rocks or trees. He's climbing trees to train right now.
I know. I feel like Kyle and I are total opposite in our body.
For a while there, I was climbing like 1,500 vertical feet a week.
What? 1,500 vertical feet? Where do you find that?
So we would go do a couple laps out at the tree, which is like 300 feet, and then we
would. Oh, not all at once. Not all at
once. Right. Yeah. We would do like 20 or 30 routes at the gym. So we were doing 1,000 foot a night at the gym while we were training. While the gym was open, we were training for a trip.
My steps are like 12 feet. Do it twice a day.
That's crazy.
I came downstairs twice today. That was my workout.
See, what blows me away is you could definitely do more pull-ups than me, but I've also seen you do push-ups. And I
think I can do 60 in one sitting.
All right. Well, here's the deal, though. I listen to a lot of mountain bike podcasts with trainers and all this stuff, and I try as much as I can to take what I can from it. But the fact is, I'm not a professional athlete, and I have twin babies, and you guys have kids, and we have regular jobs, and just can't dedicate myself to like 20 hours of training a week. So I think what we should do is, come up with our best 3 tips next week and kind of what we do, what we could realistically do more, what we can't do to like still be decent mountain bike riders, even though we're kind of like average Joes when it comes to our lifestyle. Sound good?
Yeah, I think that's good. Like we can weigh in some insight just from average people who like, I'm not gonna lie, we probably all struggle to find times to go exercise at different days of our lives. So I think it's good.
I think spoiler alert, probably my biggest issue is going to be not so much the training, but what goes into the mouth. It's going to be what we're going to uncover as being Klint's biggest holdup.
Same.
Wow, what are you doing right now? What have you been doing this entire podcast?
Eating candy.
Exactly.
Red Vines. Are those Red Vines or Twizzlers?
No, Twizzlers, man. Twizzlers.
Watching Kyle munch Twizzlers this entire podcast.
Well, meanwhile, I'm like dehydrated over here because I forgot to bring my water in from the garage, and I'm like, oh.
I'll be honest, man. Like, I'll just throw this out there. Like, this whole isolation quarantine thing has me thrown so off, man. Because normally I eat a really light breakfast and then drink about a gallon of water a day. And anymore, man, just like because my day is so odd, I end up not drinking any water all day and just drink coffee. And I can feel it. My body hurts. Like I don't feel healthy anymore. So I'm trying to like force myself to get back into the water game because it was easy before. I drink 32 ounces of water before I left walking out the door. I do water while I drive, and then I fill it up every stop I make. And it was really easy to stay on top of the water, but this new schedule's got me thrown way off.
I see. So, yeah, that's what we'll do next week. If you're listening, if you don't like any of our content from this week, hey, give us another chance because it's going to be a little different every week. Next week we're going to talk a little bit about training. We'll probably talk about the bikes we have a little bit.
I'd love to.
We're gonna pay attention to the news, especially the racing news once racing starts again. As new technology comes out, we'll be looking at that as closely as we can, talk about new bikes, new things that are happening. It won't just be about us or just about Missouri and what's going on. And basically, I just plan to talk about whatever happens to be the interesting mountain bike thing of the day. That's what we're going to do. And we're probably going to make fun of each other a lot. I think we were a little nice tonight, but the true colors will come out at some point, I suppose. All right, guys. Thanks for being on here. Listeners, I do want to confirm that, in fact, our email is okayestmtb@gmail.com. That's okayestmtb@gmail.com. You can email us with your questions. You can tell me what tires to get. If your emails are, funny or good or complimentary, or you think we're idiots, we'll probably read them on the podcast because, especially early on, I don't imagine we'll get too many of them and it'll be easy to sort through. So shoot us an email. We'll probably read it. All right, guys, that's it for episode 1. I've always wanted to do a podcast. I'm sure we'll get better at it, maybe get some better equipment, but appreciate you guys. I know it's hard to find the time to do this, and hopefully, I'm saying we'll do one of these, maybe one a week or one every other week, and see what happens.
Rock on.
All right, later, guys.
Later.